Hi, everyone. Welcome back. This is your first official astrological weather forecast episode on its own. We talked about this in our last episode of how we're kind of like shifting up a bit, how we're going to break apart what we talk about, just to kind of give you little shorter episodes. You know, that might be a little bit easier for some to listen to, but also more distinct topics. So if you're interested in the weather, you can always find it here on these episodes. And if you're interested in more spiritual topics, that'll be in our regular Tuesday episodes. So these will, fingers crossed, be posted on Fridays, putting out any tech issues that we may run into that sometimes adjust that date, but that will be the ideal. Tech issues, our little fun tech gremlins. So today for your astrological weather, we're going to be talking about January 26th through February 12th. So Miss Adrienne is ready to lead us through the forecast, and Melinda and I will diligently note and be ready to jump in where necessary.
Get your notebooks ready, everybody.
Get your notebooks ready.
Get your notebooks ready. So, I wanted to start it out by just like, the energies are there's definitely things going on in the energy. Uranus is involved, Saturn's involved, everybody, like professors are like, we've got the syllabus, here's to the tutors. But the professor that's given out this syllabus, he's like, listen, we've kind of gone over this a little bit before. They've had a review. Now it's time for them to hit the ground running. Anybody that's kind of left behind is kind of left behind, or you get pushed out. And it's not if you kind of think of it in a way where it's not like, oh, you're getting shoved into a direction because you've already had an opportunity to be in this. It's coming forward now. And just to take it in a little bit more of a tender approach, like, okay, it's happening. Let me just get into it. Let me go into it. Because on the 23rd, we had the cosmis, that's like the phoenix. It's now just all burnt up and it's fallen to the ground now. And now it's getting ready to rise again. It's rising. There's no option. It's rising now. That's the next option. So kind of like going back a little bit so you can kind of come from that avenue when we start talking about these things. And, on the 20th, Saturn was in a sextile with Uranus, and that was like structure and dissolution or disruption. Again, it was about putting the structure in place. And you remember January was about, okay, you've got all these wonderful plans. What you going to do with them? Like take off let's do something. You got these. Let's do something with them. So we come into the 26th and Neptune enters into Aries. And when you start looking at I don't even know if we should even talk about zero Aries, because that's like really just bringing in a whole nother layer. But when you start to think about this, Neptune is going to be in Aries for 35 years.
Wow.
Plenty of time to get comfortable with this energy. And it's going to have different perspectives for everybody, obviously. But, like what perspective do you want it to have for you? And it's okay if it's going to be changing. That's what it's all about. It's about the evolution of it. So I just want to say that even though it's a sudden, a kind of a disillusion, because that's what Neptune does, it has that dissolving quality. And Aries is like, let's go, let's run, let's go. Aries might not necessarily be comfortable with being so disillusioned and not like aggressive with something, but Neptune is kind of like bringing it into that dreamy state. And it's like, here's our dreams, Aries. I'm trusting you these with all the integrity that I put through for that, because I'm the professor and I want it to come through with spiritual integrity. And here you go. And I know you can be aggressive. I know you can be about war, but I want you to tap into that powerful assertiveness. With spirituality and with intuition attached to it as well. So, I know I'm a little bit more, like show some of the mastery that you've developed on your own while we're working alongside each other. and you're working in this energy. So, um, yeah, I'm going to stop there and see what you guys have to say about that. Because, that's 35 years. This is 35 years of this energy that we're going to have with us.
I feel like Aries is going to need that many years to figure out how to deal with Neptune, right? From what you said, it's like, it is kind of like the fire energy and the like, let's go straight out of the first astrological sign of the zodiac. And then Neptune comes in and, yeah, it feels like it could be a little challenging, but also a very worthwhile, dance to figure out. What do you think, Rosalind?
The 35 years, that's like impressive. So Neptune was then in what before? If it's moving into Aries, was it in something else before? While you look.
I'm saying
To
to myself,
me,
now you know.
I know. To me, Pisces. Okay.
That makes sense.
Pisces to Aries. So yeah, so maybe it was a little bit more comfortable in Pisces.
Mhm.
And now we're kind of moving into a little bit of like, ooh, things are kind of bubbling a bit. And yeah, being, I don't want to say like challenged, but yeah, it's an interesting energy. But on the positive side of what you were saying in terms of like bringing the intuition with you, I feel like Aries could be a really beautiful partner in that, in terms of whatever my mind goes to, like using your intuitive gifts to serve. And then you bring in that Aries energy, and it's like, oh, okay, well, we can really do something with that. And we can like come up with new ideas and energy around that. But I guess that would also apply even to your personal practice too, of, oh, I'm feeling these intuitive nudges, these dreamy kind of nudges, and things are sort of coming to my awareness that might need to kind of dissolve and change or transform. And then Aries kind of gives you that boost to be like, okay, we'll do it. Go for it. That's kind of where my
Yeah,
brain's going.
absolutely. Because one of the things that could be getting dissolved, that is, when we start our evolution, like what illusions, what limited beliefs do we need to let dissolve so that we can start this next cycle? And I feel like that Neptune energy is all, well, we're going to dissolve it. Let's dissolve these limiting beliefs. And, you're taking something from dreams and now you're making it tangible with that Aries energy. So, yeah, they definitely can work together very well, in my opinion. And Neptune coming out of Pisces, they love each other. Like that's Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, is one of the rulers of Pisces. So very cozy, Neptune. But then, Neptune is now getting into the fire. It's like, all right, let me dry off a little bit from all this moisture and all this emotion and all this evolving. And I'm going to get into some cardinal activity, some initiating activity. And what better thing to do it with than a little bit of fire, kind of turn up the heat a little bit. Um, and to be initiating. So the two of them together, for me, I feel like for 35 years, this is great. There might be a little bit of bickering back and forth, but that's when anything is changing. Like, how much heat do I actually need at this point in time? You can see that, I'm doing this. I'm taking my imagination, I'm taking my dreams, I'm putting them into action, putting them into paper. And for me, this is going to happen in my sixth house. And it has a lot of different meanings for me. My sixth house, sixth house is about day-to-day activities. It's the Virgo house. It's about habits, day-to-day habits. So for me, it's really looking at these, I want to do this. My dream is to be physically fit. Well, what am I going to do to get physically fit? That's what Aries is going like. And the Neptune might be like, well, wait, I wasn't ready for you to take that paper yet. But Aries is like, I got it. We got this. And with it happening, in January, which is the beginning of stuff technically on the calendar, it's a good time. Let's just take it and move it forward. So
So if folks wanted to see where it is in their chart, what would they be looking for? Like where it would be hitting them?
you well, if you're a Scorpio, it's going to hit you on your seventh, it's your sixth house. And it really goes by your birth chart and then the transition. So you would pull a transitional chart, birth chart, and then the transition would be on the outside, what transitions are hitting.
Cool.
Okay. So I guess one of the questions that I would put out to people is, you know, take a look and see where it is occurring in your chart and what house is being affected and what kind of themes are coming up for you. And take and write them down in journal. But um, I like this energy because it's taking reality and it's actually bringing it forward and it's actually putting it out into the universe. And I feel like it's a happier, more fulfilled kind of embodied feeling because now you're taking your dreams, your creations, and your mind and bringing them and putting them out into the universe. So that's what I got for the 26th of January. And I get the feeling that it's like a really big, it's like an archaeological kind of an exploration because you're really going deep. You know, you're letting these things go. You know that your next step is going to be into the sunshine of Aries. And what are you going to take with you? You know, some stuff you just can't take with you. And you have to be at your tenderness when you start to let those things go. And that's a lot about, you know, for me, it comes back to that Phoenix where you know you're going to burn. Your cycle's starting all new. You've got that fresh, vulnerable skin. And you know at the end of the cycle, you're going to burn up again and be back into that tender skin again. And, you know, just the courage and the Aries courage just to know I'm starting this cycle again, to have this happen again for me, I just, it's just an absolutely wonderful energy for me. So I love it. Um, and when I look at the actual chart, you know, the air signs are all hoping. They're all in this stellium of Aquarius, and they're taking this air, and I get the feel when I look at this chart that it's not rash kind of a wind. It's just we're going to help you fly up. We're going to help you fly up. I feel like it's very, very tender. And the reason I say that is because Venus is right there. It's Venus, Mercury, the sun, Pluto, and Mars. And Pluto is saying, we're transforming. You know, we're transforming. Yeah, we're transforming. I'm giving you the masculine and the feminine. And then we've also got the sun shining in on you. And then, you know, Pluto with that something has to change. Death, rebirth, you know, you could look at it as rebirth through death, but something has to change. And they're taking all those interpersonal planets into this dinner party. And the conversations that are being had are, you know, like ease and grace, tenderness. Let's recognize where we were. Let's recognize where we want to go. Let's stay in our truth as we go into it. So that's what comes to me all just on that one particular day that's going to have this particular energy for 35 years.
Big, big change.
Big change. But not to be scared of them.
Yeah.
Because guess who's coming now? The full moon's coming, and it's coming February 1st. And the full moon's going to be in Leo. So during the full moon, it's our time to acknowledge, accept, adjust, release. Okay, that's what the full moon is about, you know. And with it being in Leo, it's saying let go of self-imposed limitations. We just heard that a little while ago, you know, just let go of self-imposed limitations. Start looking at what limitations you're putting on yourself. And are they your best? Are they of your best? Are you being creative? Are you having a great time in your life? Do you have your confidence, your leadership? These are all Leo qualities. How devoted are you to your things that you say you love? What are your passions? How do you play? And when you have that full moon, that illumination, it's really shining on Leo. So Leo on a full moon, it's a really great time to see what your personal needs are right now to help you through this cycle, to use it as a foundation to get through, to help you, assist you through the cycle. So it also is going to shine a light on your uniqueness. So when you've got Leo, well, look at me, let me shine, let me shine. Oh, I like to do this, I like to do that. And then it's asking if it's okay for me to be in my uniqueness. What? So, and Leo loyal, like they just love it. So to me, it's when you have a full moon, you have the moon on one side and then you have the sun on the other side. So they're in an opposition. So no matter where you're looking, you've got either the sun shining at you or you've got the moon shining at you. So you're being looked at from all angles. Take this opportunity to look at what brings you joy, to look at what makes you creative, to jump back into some creative things. What is your self-expression? But because they're in opposition as well, there's also a tender balance there. Like Leo, the moon in Leo, like my personal needs, my personal recognition, who recognizes me for what I am, versus, the sun being in, oh my God, ziggle, Aquarius. Um, and it's talking about your collective responsibilities. So it's like, okay, which way do I go? And the answer is meet in the middle. Okay. So have a balance between the personal need that you have for recognition versus the collective responsibility that you have to bring things out into and in a more innovative way. Is recognition really necessary? What about self-recognition? Are you doing something just to be recognized, or is it helping the collective as well? Those are questions that can come up. And then I just like to ask the question is, what are you adjusting, acknowledging, and releasing to find and define your unique shine? Wow, those really rhymed. Find, define, shine.
Make it a little song.
Yeah.
That's an exciting energy. I feel like, yeah, that need for recognition, but also being looked at from all angles is a really interesting way to kind of play with Leo energy, I feel like, because Leo is usually, well, it's ruled by the sun. So now you're kind of on the opposite end of that. But because it's a moon energy, if Leo's, if the moon's in Leo, then like you're really gonna have an opportunity, it seems like, to see where those feelings of fulfillment of being recognized are coming from. And I know I deal with this, and I feel like our culture kind of pushes us to sometimes this kind of stuff, but like seeking certain types of validation that you find fulfilling. And it's like you said, like how often can we then swap that into like a self validation? Like, I don't need this externally, but I can seek this within myself and find ways to fulfill me personally without needing it from wherever it is. And I'm instantly thinking of like social media and all the stuff and likes and comments and algorithms and all that fun jazz. But yeah, that's where my brain goes. And I'm just thinking that when this full moon in Leo happens with the sun shining on it, I think we'll all be able to kind of see clearer where we get that from and how we can work with it better, more in alignment and more positively than negatively.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm feeling into the heart. I think Leo rules the heart and the generosity of Leo, it's just a beautiful blend with that. I do love Leo Aquarius axis. I forget what that one's called. I know my axis is Virgo Pisces, so it's axis of service, but what's the key word? Was there some key word between the two? It's like axis, Leo and Aquarius. I can't remember, but that is a beautiful line to look at, between those two. Like there's axis of service, axis of,
Is it
I only remember
expression? Well,
maybe.
Yeah. Leo's about expression. I mean, what the
Expression.
house that it is. Yeah. How you express, how you play.
And then with Aquarius being its opposite sign. Yeah, the how they play together sounds fun to me. Sounds
heart
really
versus head.
sounds quirky and interesting and yeah, like taking that fixed fire and that generosity, but within the sun, that's with that Aquarian energy of like thinking outside the box, like it could be very interesting full moon time. It sounds like a fun dance that I'll think about how to create a dance out of that.
Mm,
Hmm. Well,
very
you're going to be
fun.
coming into Embolic, which is the Wiccan holiday, the day after. Some celebrate it on the first. It starts on the first and it goes into the second. So the Embolic alone is about, uh, it's halfway between winter and spring. So it's about the budding of spring, the purification of new life. Some of the topics include light cleansing and rebirth, but it also brings into account the elements of fire, water, and quickening, which is like the activity in the belly, like the movement around. Um, and that water portion of it with that element, it's about having the power to heal. So the power to heal. The fire part of it is the craftsmanship, the smithcraft of forging something new. So here we come back with you've got these new things that you've just been imagining, and now you're putting them out there because it's time, change has to come. And how have you smith this? How have you forged this? Is it with love? Is it with the love of water? Is it with spirituality? Is it with intuition? Because you've got that power to heal and that purification in there as well. Um, and then, you've got something that metal, think of it like, get that metal coming out of the fire, going into the water, makes it more solid, gives it a strength to it, right? So for me, what was coming through was the heart card, Leo and the maiden. Melinda,
Strength.
strength card.
Strength
That
card.
was what was coming to me. And again, the day-to-day habits were coming up for me, like the day-to-day habits is the fire portion of it. What you're creating is the earth part of it. And then how you're nurturing it is the water part of it. Like for me, it was that workout routine where I wanted to switch it up. So it was more for me, 15 minutes after I get home after a 12-hour shift, more than enough. What can I do in that 15 minutes to make it efficient for me to get to me where I want to be as far as my workouts go? But it was that brain had to start to think the air. Okay, well, I know I like this. And I know I can give a good 15 minutes without just like, oh, be here. I don't want to mail it in, but it still shows me that level of commitment of what I wanted to do and where I want to get on my goals. So that's, you're bringing in all of the elements there. You've got the air with the thought. You've got the fire with what you're creating as far as your day-to-day activities. The earth is the creation. I'm sorry. The fire is actually the doing it. And the water is how am I nurturing it? Okay, yeah. So how am I going into this? Am I going to have a good time? Am I going to do this in a space of sacred devotion to my sacred self? And that to me was just like a beautiful way to have a ritual around Embolic itself, like what are we growing from the inside that we're going to let come out?
That's a beautiful example of like just harmonizing all of those elements. Like and you're talking about workout, which I love. I love how you're thinking about how to use the time that you have in a very productive way, but where all of your system is in agreement over it. So it's not like you're fighting with yourself about it. You've really used your air very beautifully, and your body's like, yes, yes. And your feelings are like, yes, everybody's happy with that. How is that going? Have you started that already? That's a really good idea.
Yes, I've been doing it and I love it. And yeah, and people are saying, well, why would you do it right after a 12-hour shift? Aren't you exhausted? Well, if I know I'm going to do it after a 12-hour shift in which I'm exhausted, that's my most challenging time. So if I know I'm going to do it then when it's not a challenging time for me to do it, I'm going to also continue to do it. So that's why I do it, especially after a 12-hour shift or before a 12-hour shift, which will be tomorrow.
That mental discipline.
Yeah.
I love this time though, because it makes me feel like we're moving into a season of like hope. right? Because the light is coming, the days are slowly getting longer, like the illumination, the sun is making its way. And throughout winter, we've been sitting here thinking, like, what do I want to plant? What do I want to do? And now it's like the exciting time of like, okay, now we can actually dig in the dirt and start nourishing the soil and like actually moving towards these things that we want to create. Um, yeah, and all the elements coming together. It made me think of something I saw online where this person was posing the question of, are you creating more than you're consuming? And I feel like this season is kind of pushing you into that sort of opportunity. Like, of course, you don't have to take it, but it is a good thing to kind of keep in mind of like, what am I putting my energy towards? Is it towards creating things? Is it towards the things that like, make me excited, light me up, make me feel like I'm in my alignment, my freedom and my expression? Or is it that I'm just sitting here consuming and letting like external energies influence how I'm feeling and what I'm wanting to do? So I feel like this is kind of that transition to really look at that mindset and kind of be like, well, what am I making? Because if I'm just sitting here, something's being made, and I'd like to have an influence on that if I can. That's where my
Yeah,
brain
I
goes.
That's
I
great.
love that you mentioned alignment because this is a number one year and it is about alignment. So I really do feel like the cosmos are kind of like, okay, well, how can you say I want to be in your alignment if you don't know what it is that you want in your alignment? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you've got to ask yourself these questions and sometimes, sometimes it's tears that are involved when you ask these questions. But the shedding, is part of the whole process and it's not a bad thing to cry. It's a great thing to cry.
It's a good thing.
I love crying.
I love that.
I
That sounds
do.
like a sentiment.
I do. I feel my heart kind of dissolving and like getting softer when I cry, I
Things
feel
move.
like things move and then
Things
fire
move.
fire comes back. Fire's there. We're alive. We're alive. We want to create.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Okay, so the next big thing that's going on is Uranus turns direct in Taurus. Now, this is that energy where I was saying that we've had a chance to peek at it before, but now we're going to be in it. And all I can say is expect the unexpected, but it's really not unexpected because you've had an opportunity to see it before. So, um, Uranus is about change, disruption, weakenings, changes in direction, vibration. It's going direct. So there's no more stagnicity here. I don't even know if that's a word. We're making it.
Sounds like it.
We're making it a word. And it- and it's in Taurus. And Taurus is kind of like, okay, stubborn is at the bottom. Heels are dug in. It's also about finances, grounding, safety, stability, material comforts, and self-worth. What that's something that was holding you back in Taurus. Now it's being released. I don't know if the gate's open. Maybe he sees red. I don't know. Let's say no red because they don't really like the color red, I guess. But around these types of things, there's no more stagnation. So take the opportunity, look at your finances. Don't be afraid to look at your finances. What do you want to make sure that you're grounded and you have safety and that you're in your stability? What are some of the material comforts that you're like, I did, but no, it's not much anymore. At one point it was great and now it's not. Or maybe something that you want to put into your life that's going to make it more enjoyable. You're going to embody more of the joy so that you're in joy. And then look at your self-worth. Now, as healers, we know this one's a tough one because, we're told that we're worthy, but not always feeling that way. So when you start to really look at your self-worth, and for me, it was like, I looked back in a couple of journals and, I did it like a 1 to 10 scale. I was like, wow, 3. Before I even realized, what really self-worth was and how in-depth self-worth was. But it was just like one of those eye-opening, awakening things. And so happy that on the 3rd through the 5th, it really depends on where you are of February, that Uranus at 27 degrees, which means it's a mastery level, is going to be asking you, we're going to go forward now. He's going to gently take the Taurus and he's going, okay, we're going to go forward. We're going to start looking at these things in our truth. What makes us stable? What makes us feel safe? What makes us feel grounded? What is your self-worth at this point in time? Document it. Maybe it's a 7 now. Why? What did you do? Own what you've done to get you here. Who knows? That might increase your self-worth. But he's also saying it's going to happen, Taurus. It's going to happen. The gate is open. You have to go through the gate. It's going to happen. So the time for resistance is over. So you can imagine pulling this bull. It doesn't necessarily want to go. It's not as part of his energy to go along. He doesn't really want to go along. He's going to start trusting. Might be a little bit bumpy at times, conversations, but the Taurus knows it's coming as well. And that it's coming from a place of truth. So Uranus, again, remember, it's a professor planet. And professor planets, I don't suggest. I suggest you do this. That's the tutors. I suggest you study a little bit more for this exam because I know what's on the exam and here it is. The professors just put it down and go. This is what you're doing. There's no more stagnation. And for this energy to be in this direct motion and its mastery, I think when you add that mastery to it, it makes it not so bumpy. It makes it that Taurian energy trust a little bit more. It's like, well, you say 27 degrees. It's almost a graduate because graduate is 29 degrees, right? So Taurus is like, all right, I'm going to trust you. You're going to take me to the feed or whatever. But it's that level of trust is there because it knows it's coming from a place of truth because of the degree that it's at that 27th degree.
I'm going to let the Taurus talk about it being a Taurus because we have a representative here.
Yes, the stubbornness. Yes. No, but I think it is interesting because Taurus energy really does like to feel grounded before it moves. It likes to feel stable before it moves. It likes its little hooves to have, a firm foundation. So yeah, I feel like recognizing that it's this energy that's coming at it from that mastery level is the key. Because I feel like, oh, go ahead.
It's already felt it. Remember,
Yeah.
it's already felt that sudden shake. You already felt the ground moving underneath it.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, all right, well, it's moving again. Oh, well, okay, it's moving again.
And it's like, okay, I tasted what those resources or that new foundation is going to look like. So I might as well go for it because I got a glimpse and it's piqued my interest. And I'd like to go to that trough. Taste that different food over there. Yeah. What do you think, Melinda?
I love that. I was just picking up on that piece around the self-worth and what does self-worth look like, and that I think it's different for everybody and everybody has to kind of define it for themselves in a way, but it might be helpful to even say like, what is it that would take you from a 3, up to a 7, an 8, a 9? What would a 10 look like?
Mhm.
Well, and Adrienne, you mentioned earlier too, kind of that recognizing your uniqueness with some of the other energy that was flowing around. So this helped, I feel like that would help your evaluation of self-worth as well. It's just recognizing your uniqueness and what makes you express in this iteration of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not comparing to others. It's really just your, as you say, your uniqueness, validating yourself, mantras in the mirror, but truly, and maybe listing, just reminding yourself of all that you've done and all that you do and what you appreciate about yourself. And yeah, that's all. I was just sort of dwelling in that zone.
Well, it's a wonderful zone because at this point in time, Uranus is in a sextile with Saturn, and Saturn is about structure and putting structures in place, lasting, sustainable structures in place. So if you start looking at yourself and like, what is my self-worth? What do I feel like it is? It's part of your foundation now for this year, which is about alignment. You see how everything is just like building upon itself. So it's another, the cosmos is just another way. Okay, I'm going to help you get into alignment. So let's give some thought about where you are right now and what disciplines, what commitments do you have in place? Do we want to change them? Because this is happening. So what's going to make it more smooth, less bumpy for you?
All for that beautiful year one.
Just for the year one. Yeah. This is kind of, when you think about the flow and them jumping off, what's in your backpack that's going to make your landing a little bit more smoother? Because you don't know what you're coming up against, right? You have no
Mhm.
idea. So what's in the backpack that's going to make it more? Okay. So then we talked about the third and the fifth. We talked about Uranus. Then we have Mercury going into Pisces. Okay. So I was really having a great time with this one. Mercury and doesn't really like to be in Pisces. It's not really comfortable. Mercury's fast moving in Pisces, if you can imagine, a little slow. Um, Mercury wants facts and details, and Pisces is a little bit vague. Like Mercury's coming in, it's like, okay, let's do it. And Pisces is like, it is what it is. And Mercury's like, well, what? Oh, we're here. So I kind of was getting a vision. Okay, and this may not be appropriate, but anyway. So, Mercury's coming in and it's very, very hyper focused. And then Pisces comes in and just kind of blows its fog over him. And he's just like, oh, yeah, what's kind of nice. And he starts to float. And then the Mercury comes from that click, 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 click to the mental focus. The shift changes to the intuitive intelligence, to the emotional intelligence, to the spiritual intelligence instead of that intelligence. Got to do, got to do, got to do. I need the details, need the facts, da, da, da. And he's, no, Pisces is like, you need a little something.
Sounds like he's smoking a joint. Some what you were thinking, Adrienne. I knew it.
Just chill out a little bit.
It's a beautiful image. It's perfect. I love
The
it.
most organic, freshest, purified. It could even be a Palo Santo stick. Okay. So Palo Santo him, whatever. But yeah, like in Pisces is like, okay, I got this. Because we want to bring into an awareness that Pisces, water, mutable, purifying. So it's a purification stage. It's a mutable stage, which is changing. So Pisces knows what its job is, whether it's high or whatever he's high on, Palo Santo, whatever it is, mushrooms. But he knows that his job or her job is to purify, to offer that tenderness, because we're going into the next cycle, which is fire under Aries. Remember, Pisces, fire. Okay. And, it's just like, yeah, we know these things are happening. And I understand you've got this blueprint. I appreciate you playing in the blueprint, but let's just purify it a little bit. Let's just take a look at it a little bit. Let's bring you down into a slower calm, because Mercury's coming in and Venus isn't there yet. She's coming a little bit later with her ease and her grace, and she's going to take Mercury and go, it's okay, baby, we got this. But he's going into an energy that he's like, I'm really not comfortable here. You coming? When are you coming to the party? You want me to arrive first? These are the conversations that Mercury is having. And they always want me to calm down, and I don't really feel like it. So then when Venus steps in a couple of days later and she's like, okay, sweet, you did a fabulous job. Here you are. Here we are. It's ease and grace. It's purifying, or Pisces is purifying our blueprints. And as we take them and look at them, and then Venus starts going back into her little party mode because she likes to be around Pisces. But when they think about, I feel like Pisces is super wise at this point in time. Because Pisces is going to, before you leave, he's going to ask you to surrender something. You're being purified. Something, everything can't go with you. Someone's got to stay. You're going to college. You can't take that fluffy that you've had since you were a baby toddler in the bed. It can't go. It's missing an eye, a leg. It's drooled all over. I mean, it cannot go with you, honey. You can come back and visit it on your bed. It can't go to college with you, sweet. Pisces knows this is coming. So the initial, it's just again, something's got to surrender. Just loosen up. Let's be tender. Let's love each other here. Venus comes in, yeah, let's love each other here. And just takes the party to another level of grace and ease. And also just reflection. I feel like it always comes back to me like that mirror, that Venus. Look at yourself. Again, look at where you are, what you've come from, what you've done, how you've accomplished it. Tap yourself on the freaking back, but something still has to be let go.
Love it.
I think that's my favorite framing of Mercury and Pisces in Pisces, Mercury and Pisces.
Smoking a
That
joint?
I have ever heard. Well, I mean, like you said, it doesn't have to be a joint, but it's like, because there's somebody in my life with that actually, that makeup. And it's very interesting and that's their only water in their chart. So I'm always been fascinated by it and I've never really I'm still, I'm still vibing with that. I'm still not sure, but it's really interesting. I mean, it's also like it's intuitive, right? It's got to be, there's a lot of intuition around that
Intuition.
Mercury. Whatever it takes for you to like access that and allow that to be what is communicated a little bit more than the analytical even. Yeah, no, I love that.
Yeah, I have Mercury in Aries in my personal chart. So for me, it's like I have a constant struggle with my brain of being too much motion, too much analytical. So yeah, I'm excited to kind of get a taste of that because I can only imagine that balance of the intuitive, it's kind of like I don't know, I kind of imagine it like your analytical would sort of, like you said, like be kind of tempered. But I'm looking at like kind of like a scale, like there's only so much room. So if you have that Pisces energy coming in, then it does kind of balance it all out with that spiritual thought. So I'd love a little taste of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. And then the balance, it's interesting that comes through because, um, Mercury is in a trine with the moon, which is in Libra this particular time. And Libra moon, I want balance. I want harmony. I want everybody to play nicely. So it's very interesting that you brought that up and that came through for you. Love that. So on the 10th, when Venus comes on board, Venus exalted in Pisces, she loves it. It's great for her. She's going deep. She's very romantic. The boundaries are dissolved, completely dissolved. And we're coming from a place of creativity, but it's with charm and with ease and with grace. And even when you have Mercury there, now there's creativity and ease and grace with problem solving because you're bringing in your intuition alongside the analytical. Just because you're not using it at that point in time, it doesn't go away. It kind of gets a little bit of a buffing or refining or purifying as well. So when you bring that balance in again, you think about the analytical and the intuitive. The analytical is the foundation. Intuitive, okay, we're coming over and we're going to polish it up a little bit with ease, grace, and tenderness, Venus.
Beautiful.
And what was coming through for me was that this is a rainstorm of purification at Pisces. Pisces being in water, it's mutable. It's preparing you for the next thing.
Lovely. I can't wait. Can't
Sounds
wait.
juicy. It makes
That
me
sounds
remember
juicy.
about like Venus, Aphrodite in Greek and the myth of like her birth being born out of water, out of sea foam, and then so then when you say like, yes, she loves to be there, like that's her element, like that's where it all came to be. And she rose beautiful and fully formed, and she's back in her domain, in her strongest aspect.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
She's asking you also to think about how you're receiving. How are you receiving the self accolades? The things that you've now been looking at yourself. You've been looking at your worthiness. You've been looking at your accomplishments. You've been looking at all these things that you've created. And when somebody comes up to you and says, "Oh my God, that's beautiful," or "Oh wow, you did," how are you receiving that information? How are you receiving that self? What's the opposite of criticism? That self opposite of criticism, information coming through for yourself. Is it feeling sticky? Maybe there's a little bit more healing around that. Maybe do a card pull around that. Maybe light a candle. Just to kind of remember that, Venus is love. She doesn't just love the good stuff. I mean, like, let's be honest. She loves the bad. It's all part. She loves everything. She understands the importance of the challenges. We'll call bad stuff challenges because it makes you grow. As you grow, you heal. You got to have the healing. You got to feel it to heal it. And Venus is just in that place where she's just like, I know it's not the best thing, but I do see why and understand why. And if we soften the way we look at it, can we not understand why? And maybe we can shift it to that perspective of, wow, this is a great thing to have under my foundation. This is a great thing for me to know. So I don't want to have to go through it again. I mean, like, that's the big reason to want to remember it and honor it and acknowledge it. And also to lighten any, whether it's something that you went through or something that you did, but any self-criticisms against yourself. I don't think Venus actually hates anybody, to be honest with you. And I just feel like she's always asking you to look at things a little bit differently with ease and grace and see how you can nurture it and see what it can become once it's nurtured.
She
Gentle
definitely,
awareness.
she
Yeah.
definitely approves of herself, and she's comfortable with herself, and she's comfortable with everybody. Everybody. Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. Well,
Yeah.
that is a lot of juicy goodness for a couple of
Oh,
weeks.
There's one more thing.
Oh no. Okay, let's
Oh,
hurry.
yeah.
Let's stick
Well,
that
no.
in.
On the 12th, the Mercury is in a conjunct with the North Node, and the North Node is your North Star. So if you think about that, again, it's that fated conversation that's been coming back around over and over again. So what conversations are you having with yourself? Or what conversations can you acknowledge about yourself that are pointing you towards your North Star?
Awareness, awareness, awareness. Just observing.
That's juicy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, okay. Well, now, even more juiciness to the juiciness of these couple of weeks. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I feel like we talked about a lot of really interesting energies that people can definitely work with to help with our alignment as we move into this year one even deeper. But yeah, I love it. And that gentle reminder of Venus of just like gentle awareness, gentle observation. There can be a positive spin on everything, and yeah, a loving take on even the toughest struggles and realizations that are coming to light to be dissolved. So beautiful. Well, thank you all for listening. We'll be back in a couple weeks for our next forecast for you. And yeah, we'll see you very soon.
Thank you, Adrienne, astrologer. We
Thank
learn so
you.
much, and we bask in all of the goodness. And thanks everybody for joining.
Yes, thank you guys. It's been a wonderful pleasure. Absolutely.
Beautiful. Bye, everybody.